Well, here we are. It's been quite the adventure over the last few months. As you can see, the guitar is completed and I've been done since about the end of July. And so this is the super edit and we're just gonna get right into it. This is the final video. So it's gonna be a little bit longer and I hope you enjoy it, and maybe I'll have a little something to say at the end. Enjoy. You ever just have a 10 p.m. photo shoot in your wood shop of your newly completed guitar? I do. Cue up the slow-mo shots. See, and boom, there we go. I did a bunch of different color schemes and I'm not sure which one I want to go with yet. I'm leaning towards, it's still hard for me to pick. I really like this one. It's pretty simple. Da, 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 da. All right, we're jumping back in from that time lapse, and I got a very rough sample. Let's try to zoom in here without blocking the light. But yeah, so you see how that tort lines up in the middle between the two ebony pieces, and this is just going to be repeated and slightly offset in order to make that pattern we discussed about earlier in the video. I've just finished installing the inlay into the fretboard. Let's zoom in here, look a little closer. So what's going to happen is, don't mind that gouge in the fretboard. I still haven't radiused this fretboard because I'm waiting on some plastic, well, I guess it's UV curing resin, so I can fill these with clear. On top, you can see that pocket is deeper than it needs to be, so I can fill it with clear resin, put the radius in it, so I have hopefully very little chance of sanding into my inlay. But yeah, that's what we're looking like at the moment. You know, eventually I'll show you the final product, but I think I'm gonna also bind this fingerboard in tort, and it's got some great grain to it. A few little knots that I had to stabilize, but yeah, so hopefully you're gonna have some tortoise binding on it, and still don't know if I want to stain it or leave it natural, but I do need that UV resin before I can move further with this. All right, in this episode I'm gonna cover this guy right here, and this is what I'm calling my bridge cover. I'm going to switch to a different view. You'll probably get a whole view of the project. Look at that. But let's click outside of that so we can see that this bridge, my 3D drawing is not done yet, but we'll sit down in this little pocket, and this is going to cover it up. So that's going to be nice. I'm hoping I left enough room for the strings to get through. If not, I will be doing some sanding and filing, but that's not a big deal. So what we're going to do is I'm going to jump to some time lapse, and then I will also show you what's going on afterwards. So let's cut to that right now. So this is what it looks like straight off the CNC machine. I cut it out. I did a little bit of cleaning up on these edges here. But as you can see, it's got a nice shape to it. I haven't cut these holes all the way through yet. And then, yeah, it's going to cover up that bridge tail piece. I want to focus. This is actually the second one I made because I didn't like how the first one turned out. It's got some cool grain to it. Almost kind of looks like a butterfly. Anyway, I'm hoping that will do the trick of hiding the ugly kind of tail piece that I plan on using. And this is just another piece to add to the small collection of parts I'm making. And hopefully someday it'll all be thrown together into a guitar. Stay still. Here's what we ended up with after all that work. Obviously, I still haven't shaped the peg head or the neck transition. I mean, the peg head transition. Still got a lot to do. Eventually, I'm going to fret it and all that good stuff. But I'm broke. So, again, I will just give you the wood porn and wipe it down with some alcohol here. Shouldn't hurt anything. And then you give you the nice, beautiful views. Ooh. Even the peg head's got some nice stuff on it. I have the neck on for the first time, and also the bridge set up. I'm going to bring this in and set my little tripod down, maybe give you a better view. Excuse my my body if I get in the way while I'm filming this. But let's open this up. Excuse my incredibly messy bench and poor practices as a luthier here, but this, I'm hoping to find some black screws of the same kind. I'm probably just gonna have to order some online, but no big deal. Open this up, and this is my practice bridge, so there's like some blowouts and stuff. The real one is tucked away and it's safe and it's much nicer. But you open this up, I have it on threaded inserts so that this is not something that wears out in the future. And then when you look inside, you have this metal guy right here. I hope you guys are actually seeing this because I'm doing this kind of blind at the moment. But the strings will latch in under here, wrap around that black piece, and head towards the neck. None of this is completely final sanded yet, but so it's a little bit tight, but I know that I'm going to do a lot more sanding before then in order to not have to remove this piece to change strings. Right now, I can manage it, and I'm going to try to do it on camera real quick once I put this back on. But it is a tight squeeze. But again, in the future, after I've final sanded this and done a little bit more shaping, hopefully it will be an easier feat. I'm going to show you with the thickest gauge string that I plan on putting on this, which is a 46. I'm going to take this ball end and kind of tuck it down in between, and then I'm going to try to maneuver it a little bit, feel it catch in the slot, and then you can wrap it around. I have a bridge here, so this will be, you know, elevated a little bit, but it'll wrap around and go towards the nut and the tuners. And like I said, with a little bit more space, I think that'll be an easier feat. Right now, it's not too bad, and this is the thickest one, so that would probably be the hardest it would be. Doing it with other strings on there, however, may become a little bit more of a challenge, so we'll see how that goes. I'm wondering if you can see my cat in the background right now being a dumbass over there. My wife's cat. I don't have a cat. Anyway, that's where we're at. I'm going to hold this up and show you this beauty. I have also drilled a hole on the side for the jack, and I'm going to be using this style of jack. And right now it's hard to tell, but basically it would just sit flush in there, and it would be flush with the side of the body. And but since I have one hand and I'm trying to, well, let's just do it. Why not? YouTube can upload a long video. Pull these off, just to give you an idea of how it would look. I'm going to go in here, and obviously everything still hasn't been sanded, but it's going to sit flush like that, and that'll be good to go. Have a nice big electronics cavity that I haven't messed with yet, and I still need to cut a cover for this. I may have to deepen that by hand, which will be scary, but hey, I did inlay for a long time. Shouldn't be that bad. And that's where we're at with this project so far. I weighed just the body the other night, body by itself, and it was about 2.5 pounds without any of the hardware or anything. So right now, if I was guessing, I'd say it's about 5 right now, but I have no way of knowing until I weigh it all together. So that's where we're at. So this is what we have for my pickup covers. I created a sample of these in wood. Didn't really like how that was turning out. And then I decided, hey, I have a 3D printer. And not one of the ones that leaves like really bad layer lines. I have a decent 3D printer, not a top of the line one. And it does, it's a resin printer versus a SLA. I don't know. It's resin, so you don't get any of those little ridges. So what I did is I came in here and I made these pickup covers, and they look a little weird, and you would be correct in saying so. What's actually going on is there is a channel for binding. I'm going to bind these in tortoise just like I bound the body of my guitar around the outside. This one's the neck. This one is the bridge position. And so you're like, awesome, you made some ovals. Well, it gets more awesome when you flip it around and you look at the bottom side. So, if you're familiar with guitars, you can tell that this is a Tele set. And so I have a couple of pickups that you'll see later once I've printed these off, that they go into here and here. Well, obviously that's where they go. So those are my 3D model. And then if we change to my slicer, which will take the 3D model and it will slice it up into a bunch of different layers and allow for it to, oops, that's not what I meant to do. Let's do a Control Z, not a Control Z on a Mac, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so this is my slicer software. It slices it into layers that my 3D printer is going to understand. And so that's basically it. This is the end result. Right now I'm letting it hang out and letting all the extra resin kind of drip off here. Come on, focus. There you go. But yeah, that only took 3 hours. I'm gonna let all this drip off, and I'll wash it really well, and then I'll actually cure it with a UV light. Hey, a munchkin. Hey. Okay.
Did you get this?
Oh, exactly.
Oh, so you got toys open?
Yeah, that's my toys.
Oh.
Okay.
There's 2 toys.
Oh, you got a lot to say.
Oh.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll move. I'm gonna let this do its thing, and I'll get back to you when it's all cleaned up. Looks like hot garbage now, but once I get them in, glued down, and sanded up, all the little gaps disappear because you fill them up with ebony dust. So, yeah, hopefully I'll cut back to a complete one, or maybe like a semi-complete one. Alright, I'm about 2 hours into this. Still got some little gaps to fill in, but it's essentially done. Oop, come on. Wipe a little alcohol on it, but there we go. she lives. This is wired up and not very securely and not very prettily. I won't even show you the inside of this. But as with most single coil guitars, there's a little bit of buzz. I got the typical 3-way switch where it's neck, both, and then bridge. I have my amp all the way over there. And let's see, this is, the tone is all the way down, volume's all the way up. Here, let me see. This is volume all the way off. This is what I'm currently using to do all my spraying. Spraying is an Earl X 5500 spray station here. It's just a little, it's basically just a, I don't know, small little turbine, I guess is the correct term. But that's what I'm using. It's been getting me good results. Been using it for a few years. As we walk over here, my shop is dusty, but it's not too bad. So I got these guys hanging out over here, just chilling, waiting for their next coats. I'm going to do a few more coats of sealer on this neck, just because this this maple, I feel like, was really, I don't want to say porous, but I want to say it's going to soak up anything like a sponge, so I want to make sure it's sealed really well. Same with that redwood. And then I'll move on to doing some color on the body, but everything else is staying natural. So yeah, that's where we're at with the finish process. Can't believe I'm finishing already. Still see the grain pretty easily. Let's just layer one. I'm guessing, just looking at it, probably at least 3 layers of color to make sure I can't see the grain. And if I can, not the end of the world. Some people like that, translucent white. I want it to be white, white, white. The end. All right, so I've made it through all 3 levels of buffing compound, starting with medium fine and then extra fine. You can see, I like looking at the lights on it. You can see that they don't look like light bulbs up on my ceiling. They got the nice ripple as I move this back and forth. That just means that this redwood, even though I've sanded it and buffed it and all kinds of good stuff, it still has ripples because of the grain. You can see that it follows that. And that doesn't bother me. I'm not looking for such a thick layer of finish on it that it becomes perfectly smooth and flat. I mean, obviously I want it shiny and flat without little divots everywhere, but I don't think that's a big deal. So that is the body all buffed up. There's a few spots I want to clean up on it, but I'm having too much fun just moving these lights around on that body. If I can find it. There. So there's that. Let's turn up the volume a little bit. And so I'm going to work my way through the pickup selection, starting first with the toggle switch up, the neck pickup. These are Telecaster pickups covered with my own 3D printed designed pickup covers. And so let's turn up the volume a little bit. So there's that. And then we're going to dial in the tone knob a little bit. Like I said, not a great player. So, you know, give it a few little strums here. That's the neck pickup. I'm going to leave the volume and tone knob alone, but I'm going to switch into the middle position, which is both pickups, and do a little bit of the same to start with so you can hear the difference. Okay, now the bridge pickup. It's really quacky. I think that's the only way quacky could be used in a sentence and make sense as guitar players or referring to ducks. Anyway, yeah, back to kind of those same strummy chords. So there you go. You know, we can dial the tone way off and get some nice chunky. You know. Anyway, so I kept kept it fairly simple with the 3 pickup selection, Telecaster. I think in a previous video or post I had mentioned I kind of went with the 50s style wiring in the back, you know, single volume, single tone, kind of the typical setup that you would have with a Telecaster. That's one of my favorite sounds. But yeah, so that's where we're at with the sound. Overall, I'm very happy with the way this came out. For now, I'm going to turn this bad boy off and keep an eye out for the next video. Some of this shit. That's going to do it for me. Thanks for watching my videos and following along during the competition. Good luck to everyone else, and play my way out.